Hi guys, welcome back to the Video Hustle. Now it's been a while since we last did a video, but hopefully after today you'll see why. Now in the past we've dabbled in reality TV, we've shot some stuff for other production companies and also co-produced some stuff, but we've never really produced the show for ourselves. There's also very little info out there telling you how to produce a reality TV show, let alone getting it onto TV. So in today's episode we're going to talk about getting your own reality TV show concept off the ground and hopefully getting it on TV. So step one is obviously finding the crew for a project like this. Now this is Trevor Kaplan, he's a qualified drone operator, cameraman, and we're actually brother-in-laws. Good. So it's always important to work with someone that you get along with and can actually spend a lot of time with.
I think you need to be able to bounce ideas off somebody and to know that, you know, although you might agree on stuff, you can also disagree without it causing any problems. So I think we found ourselves in a very good position there.
And Trev and I are also complete dreamers. So it's very easy to get tunnel vision with a project like this, but having someone to keep you accountable and keeping your ideas accountable is quite important as well.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's one thing to dream. You might have a dream, I've got many dreams. To find a dream that we both resonate with and we both feel that it's a dream that can be accomplished after we've looked at the pros and the cons.
Another important factor is also having a crew behind us that can actually get the project done. So in the past we've worked with various editors, we worked with various videographers. Both Jaco and Jono that edited this project for us are both people that we like working with. They're people that think like us, they can get stuff done quickly. Also, they're multi-talented, so if one of us can't make it to a shoot, these guys can drop in and quickly film for the day. So it's important for us to find people that can replace us in the event that we're not able to do so.
And they're hell of a nice guys. The four of us get on like a house on fire, and I think that is important. They would also be happy to make comment, negative, positive comment to us, and we can do the same to them without anyone feeling offended. And again, as you said, one person can step in to play the role of the other person if need be.
The amount of time you spend with your clients every day, they almost become your family as well. So on this side, you've got to learn how to separate it. You can be the ultimate estate agent, you can be a friend, you can be a colleague, you can be a valuable advisor like we are all the time.
So step two is the concept, the world in which this reality show will play, the characters, the talent of the show. So at the end of 2019, we were introduced to an extremely interesting person, an extremely interesting world of high-end real estate and the daily struggles and hustles that these people go through in order to sell their multi-million rand houses.
You know, when we met this gentleman, I think he just solidified that there needed to be a reality show that he was involved in. Because he was in the property industry, it just made a lot of sense that this concept that we'd been thinking about could now come to fruition with him playing one of the lead roles in the reality show.
I think both Trevor and I knew the moment we stepped out of that first meeting with this guy that, you know, you just often find people that are made for TV. If he's not someone you're going to tell your partner at home about when you get back from a meeting, you know, it's not worthwhile.
Correct, yeah.
And again, that just opened up a complete world, and I think which was the seed for us starting this reality TV show.
It's all good and well having the one character. You do need to have other characters that also play their part. You can't just have one person that steals the limelight. You do need different personalities. You need people that work together, but you also need people that have their own ideas and do things their own way. And I think where we've been very fortunate is that we've got quite a diverse group of people all doing things their own way. And I think that makes for interesting television.
Don't do this to me. Not a time to have bad signal when you're trying to close an offer.
So when we started this project, the idea was always to create a sizzle reel. The first thing people ask for when you tell them about a concept is, can I please see something? So it was either creating a 2 to 3 minute sizzle reel, sort of showing the people what the character's about, but we made the decision right from the start to rather create a full pilot episode as opposed to just a short snippet of it.
Something to bear in mind is that A sizzle reel is a lot cheaper to make. It's a lot shorter, but the problem is that you don't actually get to get a good grasp of the characters that are going to be portrayed in each episode. So I think in this case it worked to our advantage to have a whole episode, but there's a cost factor, there's a timing factor, there's a whole bunch of things, and I think at the end of the day we made the right decision to go with the full episode.
The advantage of the full episode for us was also to test the characters, to see if the narrative that we had thought about could actually be translated into a full 48-minute episode. So the idea for the pilot episode was then also to show it to potential investors, to potential channels, just so that they can get a proper feel of it. And again, it was a way for us to test the waters as well.
Well, let's play for taking out your client.
Sandra?
Yeah.
No, I've been running with Sandra for 3 weeks.
Well, look, let's put on the game. What do you say? Well, who wins takes her out.
Step 4 for us was finding a suitable distributor. Being our first show, we didn't necessarily have all the right contacts to get the show in front of all the buyers, all the TV channels all across the globe. So it was really important for us, after we had finished the pilot episode, to start shopping around, trying to see what the interest is from a distribution company. Now, in our opinion, or our understanding back then, was that the distributor would facilitate the sale of the show to multiple TV channels, obviously if the content is good enough. So literally getting on the internet after our pilot episode was finished, scouring the internet for suitable distributors, and then hoping that someone contacts you back was quite a nerve-wracking exercise in itself. But we finally managed to find a local distributor, showed them the pilot. They were happy to get involved with trying to get the project off the ground for us.
And it was a big day. I mean, to get a signed distribution deal quite quickly into it, I mean, it was a great day for us. It was like, it just reinforces that the product that you've got has some value, and people have looked at it, and they've looked at a whole 1 hour pilot episode, and they like it.
The role of the distributor is to facilitate a sale or a licensing agreement. So they obviously do take a cut of any money coming in from that sale. So always be aware of that. This being our first time, you know, those percentages, I mean, it means nothing really. Unless there's a sale, there will be no percentages for anyone really.
Correct.
It was also an extremely interesting day that we signed the agreement for this distribution deal. It was the day before South Africa went into lockdown. Hence the copious amounts of box wine in the background, because we were stocking up on alcohol. But COVID was a big part of this project right from the start.
Cheers
to more sales.
Many sales. 20 plenty.
Definitely.
We touched on the show format a little bit, but right from the start it was very important for us to stick to a 4K show essentially. Giving the show the ability to sell multiple times over the next few years was quite important, so the quality of the show had to be such where it can live if a channel would launch a 4K channel in the next 2 years. So for us, shooting the show in 4K was very important. It was very difficult for us as well. We almost feel after this whole process that the status of editing equipment and the storage facilities and the storage capacities aren't really there to facilitate proper 4K productions yet, and that's really something we struggled with.
And I think that's what people overlook, is that you think, okay, let's shoot in 4K. Great. We've got cameras that can shoot in 4K. The storage and the editing and I mean, geez, what a mission all of that was. But I think, you know, you need to see the bigger picture, and the bigger picture for us was our local channels might not need 4K. But as soon as you're going international, and as soon as you want, as you said, longevity with your show, you need to be pushing, you need to consider what television channels are looking for as well. And 4K seems to be the standard now.
We also had to make the decision between a half an hour show or an hour show, which we felt comfortable with pushing to an hour show because we had the full hour pilot episode already. And from that we could see that we are able to keep a narrative going for an hour. The characters are entertaining enough to keep going for an hour as well. So right from the start we had then decided on this is going to be a 10-hour episode production. We had costed accordingly for it. Obviously, it's a bit of money that someone needs to spend to produce 10-hour episodes. On good advice from the distributors, actually, they suggested that we instead consider 6-hour episodes instead of the 10. That would obviously bring our costing down, which was a problem at the stage. I mean, trying to find that investment in the market during COVID was quite a tricky thing as it is. And currently, the model, especially for platforms like Netflix, is for a first-time run of a show is to test the market with 6-hour episodes, see if it is any good, see what the uptake is, and then if there is an appetite after that, get into production quickly with a second season.
So I think the other thing is that it was also had to do with time frame. If you're shooting 6 episodes, you can do that a hell of a lot quicker, and we could then get into the market quicker, which for us was quite a big thing. We wanted to see our show on TV. And I think just another thing, when you mentioned the half an hour versus an hour episode, we do have 5 fairly strong characters, and you need to, if you share that out amongst the half an hour episode, they just don't have enough time. So I think that it just made sense to do the hour.
Parents, I just need you to make a plan. Please, that's why I called you guys. I'm relying on you to get this done, so please make sure you can deliver.
So right from the start, essentially, we were looking at 3 funding models in order to get the show off the ground. One is a commissioned show basis where you would hopefully get a meeting set up with a TV channel, take your concept to them. If they like the show, they would give you the budget to go and produce the show. The negative for something like that is they own the intellectual property then of the show. The show belongs to them. Essentially, you as a production company will only make money from producing that show once off. And then they own it, so they can then run it for the next 10 years and you won't see a cent out of it.
So one of the problems with a commissioned show is that if you don't budget properly in the beginning, you might find yourselves running into a bit of problems, and then you would have to renegotiate terms and things. So it is something to be wary of, or to be aware of. It is a nice idea that you can go to a television channel and they pay for it and will air it and whatever. So, but that's the pros, and the cons are you have no intellectual property.
A second option, which obviously at that stage was a little bit more attractive to us, was a self-funded programming model where we would come up with a private investor to pay for the production of the show, but then essentially keep the intellectual property of that show. And every time the show gets licensed over the next 5 to 10 years, we would see revenue being generated from that sale, being the owners of that show. The risk, though, of having a self-funded project is getting an investor to pay for the show and then no one buys it. So that is also an extremely high risk that you're running with. We did feel that with the local need for local content currently in the market, if we could come up with a great show that's shot properly, that looks and sounds nice, there is a good chance that someone will pick it up. We did, however, believe that the concept that we were working with and the quality of our production was good enough where we did feel comfortable that the show will sell in the next year to 3 years.
We had done a full hour episode, so when people looked at it and they liked it, it did give us the confidence that at the end it would sell. So it's not like we had done a sizzle reel, like a little highlights package that obviously would look brilliant, and because it's such a short little video that you make. Here we had done a whole hour episode. So I think that if people enjoyed that, then it gave you a little bit more confidence to do the self-funding model.
A third model that at some stage we did consider was getting a AFP, advertising funded project, off the ground as well, where essentially advertiser would pay for the airtime and obviously pay for the production, but then in return get branding opportunities. It's a great model, but being in the midst of a pandemic, trying to find a corporate that would spend the money to produce a show and then to advertise it as well, was quite daunting.
But then we've got to think outside the box of this.
Yeah.
I want to try and get some social media influencers in on this property so they can start sharing it viral on social media, if that's the word for it.
So at the end of May 2020, we secured an investor for half of our production budget. So Trevor and I had to scrounge around and put in some of our own money to make up for the shortfall. But essentially, we now had the green light to go ahead and shoot the remainder 5 of the 6 episodes that we can. But we're shooting it in the middle of COVID.
When it comes to finding an investor, I think it's quite a difficult process, and I think you need to, once your family and friends aren't going to be throwing money at your project, it does become a little more difficult. And I think with a television show, people don't actually know the value of the show. It's not like you've manufactured a product that people are familiar with and they can look at it and they can say, oh, this motor car was scrap and now it's a car and it's got value. So when you're looking for somebody, I think to find somebody in the field of television would probably be your best or your easiest bet. And then, or somebody that had some vested interest in the industry that you are actually filming. So if your show's about cars, if you can find a racing driver or something, they would understand the value of that.
How was the shooting process COVID-wise for you?
Yeah, look, it was interesting times. I think that it was scary. First of all, that we had no corporate business, so we had no income coming in, and the benefit of that is that we had a lot of time on our hands.
But it gave us something to work on during COVID. So the fact that there was no corporate business coming in, just keeping our spirits up and being able to go out in the morning, even if there are such rigorous protocols, at least it gave us the ability to still create and to still work in the industry. What we initially thought would be a massive detrimental factor is that our agents won't be busy as well. But with the housing interest rates being as low as they are, our real estate agents actually became quite busy, and they actually were really hustling very hard to make sales, which actually made for great TV.
Walking into the front door and seeing this beautiful double volume space with double staircase in front of you with chandeliers coming down it's just magnificent. It's beautiful.
So where we are today, we finished production on the show at the end of 2020. We got our first offer at the end of 2020 as well from a local streaming service. How was that for you?
Yeah, we were expecting these great things. Hey, we've now got this show. It's gonna make us millions. And then we get our first offer, and it was so exciting. And then suddenly you see the offer. It was like, it was quite a downer.
The offer does not necessarily translate to what the production cost was. Essentially is what we learned very quickly.
Yeah.
A second offer came in from an international television channel as well that also completely caught us unawares, and it was upsetting in some way. You have this business model and these are the types of offers that's coming through for your project. But again, that is the important role that the distributor played, is to assess these offers and to sort of explain why a channel would be offering something like that, which at the time was very comforting. There are reasons, there are negotiation tactics that some of these channels employ to get the best value for their money. So that was another learning curve that we had to go through. And then fast forward to March 2021, we got our first great offer, not 100% of what our production budget was, but we were happy to go with that.
It was a great channel. It was a great channel.
The potential on the channel to have our show on this channel was outweighed the monetary rewards we would get for something like that. So we were happy to go for that. And then 2 weeks later, we get an even better offer from an international channel, a channel that we had actually earmarked right from the beginning, as we feel that our show 100% belongs on this. It looks like that type of show. It feels like the channel. So we were extremely lucky and fortunate to receive an offer from them, and then be in a position where we could still negotiate a second run with a second streaming platform as well. So essentially, we have 2 offers on the table.
So we're sitting with 2 offers now that we can sign at the same time. The one would obviously be for now, and then as soon as that exclusivity clause is over, which is 6 months, then we could go straight into the second one, but both of the contracts would be signed, which just showed that our distribution agent did their job and that our model worked. We selected the right model.
So lastly, I think we just want to thank our wives and their credit cards for keeping us alive until this dream eventually manifested itself. I mean, without the support of them and I mean our families that also go through all the highs and the lows of this project with us, you know, it's not possible.
They must be so sick of us speaking about this at every family braai. It's the same thing hashed over and over and over. But, you know, they accepted that and they partook in it and they were happy that we were so happy about it. But their funding just to keep the daily, you know, the food on the table type of thing was very important and we are very grateful. And then also our agents, I mean, they gave a lot of their time.
On that, it is important for the agent or the talent in the show also to be vested into the production, you know, into the future of seeing it. And it's something we realized very quickly is they need to see the value of it and they need to be able to be in a position where they could give us the ability to go into their lives and film their daily routine. So again, it's very important and we're very grateful to have the agents that were willing to give us the bird's eye view of what goes on in their daily lives as well. Something that this whole process has taught me is patience though. I mean, this is really a project that essentially we started almost a year and a half ago and we're probably about 2 or 3 months away from seeing the final product on TV. It really is an exercise in humility and patience. I mean, everything just takes so much time when you're dealing with TV channels.
What's frustrating and tests your patience is that when something's in your hands, like the production of the show, we could have a timeline and we could work to it and we got it done within that timeline and it was in our hands. And I think then what you don't realize is that once you've got all of that, then you hand it over to your distributor. You hand it over to TV channels or they hand it over to TV channels. And that process, that mechanism to get it signed and get it back to us, and which is out of our hands, takes time. And I think you've got to understand it takes time. There's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of people that have to look at it and approve it. And I think that was very frustrating. I think even now, when I look back, that last month or so was the most frustrating. But I think fortunately, we passed that.
Look guys, so we've talked about the show now for quite a while and if there's any questions that you have on this whole process, the video was created in order to give you an insight to what goes on behind the scenes, specifically within the South African market. We found very little information available when we started this project, so if you do have any comments, if you do have any questions, please feel free to let us know. And
maybe we can help you, maybe we can't, maybe we can make some suggestions to you, maybe we can give you a suggestion that'll make it easier for you.
So without further ado, this is Listing Jozi.
South Africa, the land of milk and honey to millions of Africans. Johannesburg, the city of gold where the rich get richer day by day.
6.1 million. 50% deposit.
Our group of high-end realty brokers traverse the complicated yet enticing landscape of distinctive realty every single day in order to successfully list and sell multi-million rand houses in Jozi's affluent suburbs and surroundings.
Mark, that's your asking price. Hello? Mike?
This is how we hustle.
So we're looking at north of 45 million.
This is how we wheel and deal.
Things like extremely important. What I want you to do is sell me this kitchen.
And cheers to more sales, guys.
This is Listing Jozi.